In the top stories, Ministry of Health says no crisis at JNF General Hospital. CARICOM to host violence as a public health issue symposium, and 2 police officers killed after bridge collapses in Colombia. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Friday, the 14th of April, 2023. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, the Ministry of Health is refuting claims in the public arena that there is a crisis at the Joseph N. France General Hospital. In a release issued on Thursday, Dr. Sharon Archibald, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health, is quoted as saying, "There is no crisis at JNF. I'm confident that we will continue to successfully address the many issues we inherited," end quote. The release outlined several pieces of equipment recently acquired and training sessions being organized as evidence of efforts to improve the local health sector. Dr. Archibald also spoke of the ongoing accreditation process being undertaken. In the release, she is quoted as saying, "The accreditation process we have embarked on is the overarching umbrella that facilitates these changes as we move forward. The Ministry of Health strongly condemns all mischaracterizations and deliberate dissemination of inaccurate information intended to tarnish the important and selfless work being done daily at all our health institutions," end quote. The release said the government of St. Kitts and Nevis remains committed to providing the highest standard of care to its citizens and residents. The JNF General Hospital is a fundamental part of this effort, the release says. Cabinet Secretary of the Federal Parliament, Dr. Marcus Natta, paid a courtesy call on Stedman Tross, the Cabinet Secretary of the Nevis Island Administration, on Thursday to deepen cordial relations. The discussion included the similarities and differences in their respective cabinet policies and procedures, their roles and execution of their duties, and the possibility of fostering new relationships with other cabinet secretaries in the Caribbean region. Dr. Natta described it as a productive engagement, saying, quote, "I thought it was imperative for me to meet with my counterpart cabinet secretary in Nevis and share experiences and discuss best practices as it relates to our roles and responsibilities. The discourse was edifying, and we have pledged to maintain close communication between our offices to continue to build synergies in our work," end quote. Dr. Natta also met briefly with the Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, who welcomed him and applauded his efforts to further strengthen relations between St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Natta was accompanied by Vashni Bell, Policy and Research Analyst in the Cabinet Secretariat. In other news, citizens and residents living in the Federation are being invited to submit entries for the official theme competition for the 40th anniversary of the independence of St. Kitts and Nevis. The deadline for submissions is midnight on Sunday, April 30, and according to the organizers, late entries would not be acknowledged or considered. The rules say the theme must be a phrase, a clause, or a short sentence of no more than 6 to 8 words and must be concise and memorable. It should accurately reflect the country's 40-year history of independence, current realities, and the standard or shared future that all citizens can reasonably strive towards. Participants must submit their names, addresses, and contact numbers with each entry to the email independenceskn@gmail.com. The winner will be awarded a cash prize of $1,500 and will be expected to perform several duties. Co-chairs Dr. Marcus Natta and Vera Galloway said that the committee looks forward to receiving an abundance of submissions, especially from young people, as it's important for them to play a vital role in the country's development. Moving now to news on the regional scene. Violence as a public health issue is the theme of a CARICOM symposium which will be hosted in Trinidad and Tobago next week. More in this TTT News report.
Human and Social Development Program Manager Shoin Twain Stevenson said crime is a major regional challenge.
We've also developed a microsite that is going to be launched later on today. So I don't have the exact name of it yet, but it's going to be launched later on today. And citizens can actually log into the website, look at a lot of the background information that caused the symposium to be developed and to be created in the way that it is right now.
The CARICOM program director noted heads of government will be attending the two-day symposium to make presentations on the issue. He added that other experts and regional practitioners will also be speaking at the event.
One of the major concerns for the heads of states and the region has to do with the availability of firearms, which when you look at the statistics are used extensively in a lot of homicide and a lot of violent crime.
The symposium will take place on April 17th and 18th at the Hyatt Regency in Port of Spain.
Junior Minister for Social Transformation, Senator the Honorable Samantha Marshall, is excited that Antigua and Barbuda will be hosting the 8th OECS Council of Ministers on Social Protection and Inclusion. The meeting is slated for April 17 to 19. Helisha Humphreys reports.
When the 8th OECS Council of Ministers on Social Protection and Inclusion opens on April 17, few will be more excited than Honorable Samantha Marshall. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Social Transformation will chair the discussions. She expounds the need for the focus on social development.
We always speak about economic development, but without social development as well, you're going to have a significant issue in terms of your economic growth. And so we look at how we can ensure that there's that sustainability plan towards our social development programs.
The meetings are set to cover a wide spectrum of agenda items, including a session on data management and use.
The first day of the meeting is actually going to be a technical meeting. Ministers will not be involved in that meeting. That is where technocrats will go in and will discuss and look at a number of critical areas where they will come to a common position with recommendations as to how our technical process in terms of social development should move forward.
Officials will also launch a youth program during the meetings.
The funding is coming through USAID, and OECS has worked with us to develop the program. The OASIS, I just want to highlight, is really opportunities to advance and support Youth for Success project.
The Senator explains the program aims to support youth who have come into conflict with the law and reveals she has asked that a mental health component be considered. Marshall will also agitate for a statistics unit within Social Transformation Ministry. The meeting's theme is touching lives through data-driven development. Helisha Humphreys, ABS News.
Internationally, 2 policemen were killed when a road bridge collapsed in Western Colombia, authorities said, not ruling out the possibility of an attack. More in this Euronews report.
2 police officers have died and 15 people injured after the collapse of a bridge in Western Colombia. Authorities say they are investigating the causes and have not ruled out an attack. According to the National Infrastructure Agency, the collapse may have been caused by the progressive deterioration of the structure due to the continued passing of heavy loads overhead, a failure in maintenance, or an element of human-induced damage. A car and 4 trucks, 2 of which were police trucks loaded with weapons, fell into the river when the bridge collapsed.
Healthcare workers in Mozambique have launched awareness campaigns to help stop the spread of cholera. It's the country's worst outbreak in 20 years, weeks after Cyclone Freddy hit the country twice in February and March. At least 1 million people are affected. Al Jazeera's Famida Miller reports.
These health workers say making people aware of the spread of cholera is the best way to keep them safe. In the district of Mwamba, they're going door to door, telling people their drinking water may be infected and should be boiled before use.
We do door-to-door visits. We talk about sanitation and explain to them how to use soap and how to keep the water clean for consumption by giving them chlorine. The community are adhering to it very well.
Many homes in this rural area don't have running water. People collect water from a river to use for drinking, bathing and cleaning. The water is untreated.
We feel the water, but we don't have any other way. Here in Mwamba, there is a shortage of water. The population around here use this water. We know that there is cholera, but we don't have any alternative. We use it for drinking, cooking, and washing.
Aid agencies are working to assess and treat water sources, but haven't reached all the affected areas. Along with the government, they're vaccinating people in the worst affected regions. This is Kilimani, a seaport, where authorities say the number of cases of cholera has risen alarmingly. It's worsened after Cyclone Freddy devastated the area last month, impacting health services. The government plans to distribute 2 million vaccines this year and is immediately targeting more than 400,000 people.
Cholera is a waterborne disease and contagious. It causes severe dehydration, vomiting and other symptoms. And many here are worried that if cases continue to rise, small health facilities like this one won't be able to keep up.
Famida Miller, Al Jazeera, Mwamba, Mozambique.
And now for the weather. Present weather is cloudy skies, and the temperature for today is 27 degrees Celsius or 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are a moderate breeze of 15 miles per hour from the northeast. Seas are moderate with waves of 4 to 5 feet. Relatively stable conditions will continue to limit significant rainfall activity over the Leewards and British Virgin Islands today into tonight. By early tomorrow, a slight increase in moisture could marginally increase the chance of showers over these islands. The weather forecast in St. Kitts and Nevis today will be partly sunny with a 20% or slight chance of a brief shower. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of brief pre-dawn showers. Sunset today will be at 6:27 p.m., sunrise tomorrow at 5:55 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.